to another episode of Catholic Table Talk Podcast. It's the podcast where everything Catholic is on the table for discussion. Along this week is myself again for this episode, going through a different Catholic website. So hopefully you find it really interesting. If you have a show request or a speaker request, if you want to do that, please get a hold of me via Facebook, YouTube comments, in person, whatever the case might be, or email Catholic Table Talk at catholictt@gmail.com. Again, that's catholictt@gmail.com, the official email of Catholic Table Talk Podcast. Now, it depends on when you're watching this, or when you're coming back to this episode. Right now, we're just getting underway with Let. Now, like I said, that you might be watching this during Let down the road. You might be watching this right before Let of the next year or two. Whatever the case might be. Let is a very important season to fast, pray, and alms give. So I'm gonna read a couple articles, like I said, from a new website, and not a new website, but a new one for me. The Catholic News Agency, which I've kind of looked at a couple other articles before, have not really done one yet, but with Let here, I will do a couple about Let. So, because as we all know when Let starts, because we always get ashes on our forehead, right? We always get the cross on our forehead. People you see on the news, they might get ash on their, a cross on their forehead with ash, I should say, and you're like, oh, I went to church today. It's Ash Wednesday, So it's really recognizable by not just Christianity and Catholicism, but just other religions as well. Some of us, I'm going to read two articles, they're really short articles. Kind of try to dive deep into them. The first one is, this is one I saw right away and I really wanted to do, is where do Ash Wednesday ashes come from? And this is a very good question if you're non-Catholic or just a Protestant who does not really follow those things too closely, or maybe you're a young Catholic and you always wondered as a kid, or even just a Catholic in general, wonder as a kid, where do the ashes for Ash Wednesday come from? Are they made of hickory wood, or they made of, you don't know, right? Where do they come from? So this article is by Mary Farwell from the Catholic News Agency. And the two phrases or two terms, two quotes from scriptures that you hear on Ash Wednesday is, remember, you are the dust, and to dust you shall return. I like that one. I don't know which one I like best, or this one, repent and believe in the gospel. That one's really good too. I like that one too. To me, I said I don't really have a favorite. That dust to dust, and kind of more with ashes. Repent and believe in the gospel is a good time to repent during Let and believe in the gospel, because something extraordinary is going to happen at the end of Let. So we're just leading up to then. Excuse me. So Mary goes on to write, on Ash Wednesday, millions of Catholics throughout the English-speaking world will hear one of these two blessings as a priest applies ashes to their forehead in the sign of the cross. Remember, you are the dust, and to dust you shall return, or repent and believe in the gospel. But where exactly do the black or gray powder ashes come from? Per the instructions of the Roman Missal, ashes are typically supposed to be made from last year's Palm Sunday palm branches. So the previous year, Palm Sunday, which is a week before Easter, I know I'm going to talk more in the article, but that's where you get it from. They burn their palms from the previous year, and that's where they get it for Ash Wednesday. Born all in ashes, Father Dan Forlewski is a priest with the Archdiocese of Chicago and serves as pastor at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Parish. He told Catholic News Agency that the parish burns their own palms from previous Palm Sundays. We have an order of palms that come in, he says, and some of them are handed out on Palm Sunday, like you might get one each, and then you might take one for a homebound person, or just a loved one. But some are left over. Not everyone takes, maybe not everyone takes one, or not. They all both get used. So, and those are usually stored away in the garage until the following year, he tells us. So basically, got about a batch full of palms. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna put those away in the garage, start them to next year because they will have a purpose next year. Some of them, some people I know, a couple of deceased ladies, and I don't really know anyone off the top of my head, but they wove like crosses from ashes, Palm Sunday palms, as well as like the crown of thorns that Jesus had on. They woven them. So there's many things you can do with Palm Sunday palms. You can just leave them as kind of decorations throughout the house as a reminder. You can let's get creative with them, or you can burn them for ashes. And then we also have some that people bring back. So people had them in their houses in the lead up to Lent, and we'll tell people to bring them into the church instead. So that's another option. You bring them back to the church and burn them for you there. We'll donate to them so they can have them for Ash Wednesday, so they can have more. Because every church typically has about three or four masses or just services that have ashes on Ash Wednesday, so they kind of need quite a few ashes. Then on the day before Ash Wednesday, which is also known as Fat Tuesday, all of the old palms are placed on a fire pit on the church steps. And then the school kids come out and we have a little prayer service and light it on fire, Father says. So I have never done that before, but I think that'd be kind of cool if you could go there and experience that, because it's kind of like Palm Sunday. The game master priest walks out. It's something different. It's something unique. Something great is about to happen. Or maybe Holy Thursday. We don't really conclude Mass Holy Thursday. They just walk out with Jesus as a way, up to the garden. So something extra, something's going to happen the next day. Something's going to happen. So I think that'd be kind of cool to do. If you have kids, or maybe you can get into that yourself. While some priests order palms from religious goods suppliers, Father Forlewski said he has always had plenty of palms and ashes to spare. We actually still have plenty in reserve from previous years, he said. We could actually not burn additional ashes for a couple of years and still be fine. Some of the procedure for the burning of ashes is followed in many parishes and dioceses. Father Harrison I, the Diocese of Victoria, British Columbia, told CNA on Twitter that he burns his own ashes for Ash Wednesday in a metal garbage bin, and then reduce to ashes quite quickly. So that's another way. Ash buyers. While many parishes use Ash Wednesday as an opportunity to use up last year's palms, the church also allows for the buying of ashes from religious goods suppliers. Father Joseph Fleckner, a priest of the Diocese of Lincoln, Nebraska, told CNA on Twitter that he buys his ashes from religious goods suppliers to avoid subpar or stabby ashes. For Catholic parishes in Colorado, one of the most used such suppliers is Jorkins Religious Suppliers. That there is quite an art to boiling ashes, like when the co-owner told the Denver Catholic in 2017. To get the good ash, you can't just burn them. Why not? That's where ashes come from, right? You have to let them smolder with no oxygen. And that's where it gets a real charcoal black. Otherwise, it might be more gray, but it might not be as charcoaly, I guess, like he said, just in color, but also maybe more in texture. Religious goods suppliers such as Jorkins typically get their Palm Sunday palms, and sometimes the palms ashes as well, from Palm Sunday suppliers in the warmer parts of the United States, such as California, Texas, Florida, and other parts of the South, like Alabama, Georgia. Okay, yeah, I think I said a lot. They get them mostly from the South, where it's warmer. But why do we use previous Palm Sunday palms? You still haven't answered for me that, William Sabo, you might say. Well, here's why. There is a lot liturgical significance in the use of the palms from Palm Sunday, as opposed to other materials. To make the ashes for Ash Wednesday, Father Randy Stice, Associate Director for the Secretariat of Divine Worship for the U.S. Bishops' Conference, told CNA that the ashes made from palms remind us of what Lent is all about. That's right there. Those branches held Holy Week, the suffering, death, and resurrection of Christ. Father says the Feast of Palm Sunday occurs the beginning of Holy Week. Because remember, Sunday is the first day of the week. So you might say, I thought Monday was the first day of the week. No, Sunday is the first day of the week. So it begins Holy Week. Because when Easter Sunday comes, then Holy Week is over. It's Easter Sunday, which leads up to Easter. Then that helps us identify with Jesus and Lent. It connects us with events in Christ's own life, he said. Ashes have also long been a symbol of repentance and conversion, even in the Old Testament, Father says. It's an Old Testament and the New Testament symbol of repentance and conversion, sorrow for sins, awareness of our fatality and mortality, symbols that have been taken up by the church from the earliest stages. Now that is the end of the article of where do Ash Wednesday ashes come from. Like I said, it comes from previous Palm Sundays, palms. You have the option mostly to return them to the parish, keep them in your house, whatever the case might be. But they use them because they remind us what Lent is about, what is going to happen. Because we are reminded of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. We are reminded that we are in a time of fasting and prayer like Christ was, 40 days. And after those 40 days, something is going to drastically happen. And that's good Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter Sunday. And it's just not those days, it's the whole week, starting on Palm Sunday, leading up to Easter Sunday. That is why Catholics use Palm Sunday palms from previous Palm Sundays. Let me rephrase that. That's why Catholics use palm branch ashes from the previous Palm Sunday for Ash Wednesday. And also the songs you hear in church, like we hear the songs remind us too. If you really listen to them or sing them, you should really sing them in church, not just listen to them, because it's the whole mass sounds better if people are singing, but it really reminds us too of what is about the songs too. So that is article number one. I'm trying to kind of get cruising here because this article is a little bit longer. So you might say, okay, I know where the ashes come from. Well, how about Lent in general? I hear this about fasting, almsgiving, praying, getting closer to God, repenting. What are some ideas I could do to do that? Now, this is a good question to ask any priest, any spiritual director, anyone you kind of maybe, should I say, look up to is a bad word for it, but kind of role model after it in the Catholic faith, like spiritual director. Now this story I'm about to share with you, I've heard this story before. Actually, I heard on just a couple of years ago on the radio. Okay, I just heard this on the radio a couple of years ago. So when I saw this, I'm like, yes, I have to kind of do this. So this is an article by Catholic News Agency by Matt Condal. These 17th century monks did a beer fast for Lent. A beer fast, yes, B-E-E-R, beer, liquor, alcohol. And quite honestly, I can't remember who it was and what state, but a couple of years ago, someone did do that for Lent. And it was actually on a sports talk radio station I was listening to. And they were kind of shocked by it. They're kind of amazed, like, wow. So the article says, with Lent beginning, Catholics will be immersing themselves in 40 days of abstaining from sweets, technology, alcohol, and other luxuries. That could be TV, really, I don't know, TV is the main one. But did you know that Catholic monks once brewing beers especially for a liquor-only Lenten fast? Back in the 1600s, Pauline monks moved from southern Italy to the Colesti Nebedek or the Alu Bavara. I like it if you want. Being a strict order, they were not allowed to consume solid food during Lent, which, like I said, Lent's 40 days. So for 40 days they gotta drink beer, which technically, they brewed it, just for that purpose. Which, I mean, you can survive. I mean, beer is actually a lot of calories and that stuff if you haven't known already. But the brewmaster and beer summoner of Paula Brewery, Martin Zuber explained, they needed something other than water to sustain them. So the monks turned into a common staple of the time of their religion, beer. And also, I should do a podcast on this too about being Catholicism, because there's a lot of cool background. But that's another story, another day. Like conducted an unusual strong brew full of carbohydrates and nutrients because liquid bread wouldn't break the fast. Zubin noted, this was an early Doppelbock style beer, which the monks eventually sold in the community and which was an original product of Paulaner Brewery, founded in 1634. They gave it the name Salvator, named after Skating Becker, which roughly translates as Holy Father Beer. So that's what they call it. Basically named after my name, Holy Father Beer. Paulinor currently serves 70 countries, so it's still going today. 70 countries, and he's one of the chief breweries featuring at Munich's Oktoberfest, Munich, Germany. So yes, Paulaner Beer Brewery is still kicking, is still going strong today, almost 400 years later. It had distinctly penetrable organ with the mutts. Could a beer-only fast really be accomplished? Well, let's be realistic. Now, Lent is more spiritual, it's more, you feel like you have to do it more. It's not like a New Year's resolution where you might say, I'm going to lose 15 pounds by April, and then just after 2 weeks, like normally, you just totally lose it. You say, I'm done, no more. I'm not saying that it's not easy to drink beer, but to me, I think you would have more of a, okay, I gotta do this because I'm gonna stick to it because that's just what I said I was gonna do, and you could offer up as a sacrifice. You can do a lot of other things with it. So that's just me, but see what they say here later in the story. One journalist had read of the Mark story, and in 2011 attempted to create their fast. There we go. Jay Wilson, a Christian working as an editor for a country newspaper in Iowa, partnered with a local brewery and brewed a special grapple bag that consumed over 46 days during Lent, eating no solid food. Now, this could be the guy who I heard, maybe not, but over 46 days during Lent. And then you might say, why 46? I thought Lent was 40 days, you just said. Must include the Sundays, which is not technically Lent. A little background here. If you go to Mass on Saturday night during Lent, okay, Saturday night during Lent, I'll just close the microphone. Saturday night during Lent, after Mass is technically Sunday. And Sundays are technically not a part of Lent. So those don't really count to the 40 days. The 40 days are Monday through Saturday. And like I say, if you go to church at 4 o'clock Saturday night and come back home about 5:30, it's technically Sunday. So could you really have ice cream sandwich if you gave up ice cream for that? You technically almost you could. So that's just a little fact there. So Jay Wilson, he had regular checkups with his doctor and obtained permission from his boss for the fast. Drinking 4 beers over the course of a workday and 5 beers on Saturdays and Sundays. His experience, he said, was transformative and not in an intoxicating way. Because 4 or 5 beers, at least for me, from my previous experience, I'm feeling after 2 beers. That's almost overstating. I probably feel after, So drinking 4 or 5 beers a day, yeah, I mean, you can't go to work. You can't really, because you're depends on how much you weigh, you're kind of on the verge of getting drunk and that stuff. Not that much, not quite, but to really perform at your job, let's say, so you gotta talk over with his boss. He probably had to plan out, okay, I'm gonna drink 4 beers on Monday through Friday and 5 on the weekend. Because might have many more calories or something. Wilson learned that the human body is an amazing machine. He wrote a blog for a news company, which I will not say, after his Lenten experience. Aside from cramming the body full of junk food, we don't ask much of it. We take it for granted. It is capable of much more than many of us give it credit for. It can climb mountains, run marathons, and yes, it can function without food for long periods of time. He wrote. Wilson knowing that he was extremely hungry for the first several days of his fast, which right there, I have to agree with him. Even though it depends on how much reverence and fasting you want to do during Lent. There's only really 2 days during Lent you should probably really fast, is Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. You should fast the other days, but it's more, I think it's more up to you. But like for me, I do fast mostly during Lent. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter what I have. Let's say if I have 2 snack breaks during the day, you know, have peanuts, ice cream, whatever I want during in between school or work. I tell you what, I'm hungry when it's time to lunchtime. When it's time to lunchtime, guess what? I probably don't eat as much because I'm fasting. So I'm still hungry. So that's where people is like, really, you really should really fast, fast, fast. I'm like, and I do. And I'll tell you what, for me, now this might be bad, but I have to fast a lot to get hungry and want more food. So I get where he's coming from. But my body then switched gears, replaced hunger with focus, and I found myself operating in a tunnel of clarity unlike anything I've ever experienced. He ended up losing over 25 pounds over the course of the Lenten season, but learned to practice self-discipline. And he found one of his greatest challenges was actually fasting from media. That is a huge, huge one. I do that too. I'm for social media, not. I guess I shouldn't say all social media, but I'm fasting from a couple, from a few, and yeah, it's hard. And it might be media, it might be sports media, it might be, you know, what's going on in politics world, government media, whatever the case might be. That is kind of hard because we're sucked into it. As he blogged about his fast, Wilson received numerous interview requests from local and national media outlets, and he chose to forego some of these requests and step away from using media to focus on the spiritual purpose of his fast. The experience proved that the origin story of Mark's fasting on Doppelbock was not only possible, but probable, he concluded. It left me with a realization that the monks must have been nearly aware of their own humanity and imperfections. In order to refocus on God, they engaged this annual practice not only to endure sacrifice, but to stress and rediscover their own shortcomings in an effort to continually refine themselves. Catholics are not obligated to give up solid food for Lent, because we even have rules. If you're younger than 18 or older than 60, you don't have to fast at all during Lent. Wow. Now that's which though, the kids, they need, they complain, "Mommy, I'm hungry." Or people, maybe they need more calories, or younger people might need more calories. But mostly in the middle, they don't. So yeah. They're not obligated to get up solid food for Lent, of course, but they must do penance during the season of Lent in the example of Christ's 40-day fast in the wilderness, in commemoration of his death and preparation for Easter. Catholics in the U.S., if healthy, adults aged 18 to 59 fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, and are encouraged to continue the Good Friday fast through Holy Saturday to Easter Sunday. No Catholic Christian will lightly excuse himself from so hallowed an obligation on the Wednesday which solemnly opens the Lenten season, and on that Friday called good, because on that day, Christ suffered in the flesh and died for our sins. The U.S. Catholic bishops wrote in their 1966 pastoral letter on fasting. Fasting is interpreted to mean eating one full meal and two smaller meals that taken together do not equal one full meal. There may be no eating in between meals, and there are no specific mention of liquids in the guidance. In their pastoral letter, the bishops also maintain obligatory abstinence from meat for all Catholics on Friday and Lent, and strongly recommend participation in daily Mass and self-imposed observance of fasting on other Lenten days. So right there, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, they don't really hear it up on the top, but when I was reading before, you might say, like I was saying, so you don't really have to fast during the other days of Lent? Why are they saying fasting during only 2 days then? You don't have to, that's totally up to you. But it's strongly recommended you should attend daily Mass and a self-imposed observance of fasting on other days of Lent. Like me, do I go to the extreme of fasting? Well, I'm not drinking beer, that's it. No, but am I going to the extreme of making sure I only have one big meal per day? Kinda, but also too, am I, making sure that I only have one big meal per day, and if that one big meal fills me up, how is that really fasting? Something to think about. As well as almsgiving, study of the scriptures, and devotions like the Rosary and the Stations of the Cross. And that is the end of the article about the monks and drinking beer for Lenten fast. But yeah, so you should, it doesn't matter. If you're 18 to 59, you should fast. And basically, if you can fast, you should fast. Especially on Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, and like I said, you don't have to, but you're encouraged to do so through Good Friday, also to through Holy Saturday until Easter Sunday. I don't care if you're pig, you can eat a ton on Easter Sunday, but if you want. But that's where you should. But also, you should really try recommending fasting in other Lenten days, as well as praying the Rosary, praying and participating in the Station of the Cross, studying the Scriptures, almsgiving, daily Mass, praying more, that type of stuff. So that is where Ash Wednesday ashes come from Palm Sunday branches from the year before. They are usually born the day before Ash Wednesday, and fasting it can come in all shapes and sizes. It just depends on what you think you can do, and try to go a little over that, beyond that. Because remember, Lent is a time of prayer, repentance, and fasting. And as we walk with Christ through the wilderness or the desert. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you got some good ideas, but that's kind of my idea is, fast and try not to really, if you're full, if you're fast and you're full when you eat supper, that's not really fasting. So it's not just because we're losing weight, but it's mostly as a sacrifice, and kind of some of the, kind of somewhat of Jesus' kind of experience, maybe walking in the wilderness of having no food or no food to eat. So anyway, the links will be down below. And like I said, if you're watching this story Lent, or before Let or Let's coming up. Hope you have a blessing Let. Hopefully it's one of the best Lets you ever had. And God bless you. God willing, we'll see you again next week. And also, don't forget to check out the archives in the corner if it shows up. Also, or just go back and watch them. So, William Sauber saying so long until next time. This is Catholic Table Talk Podcast. It's the podcast where everything Catholic is always on the table.